listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Hello to all our friends. Welcome to the Nerdy Reads podcast. We read nerdy stuff such as sci-fi, fantasy books, comics, manga, and horror. We also discuss all other nerdy things from around the globe. Have you ever had a dream so intense that you thought it was real? Did this dream become an obsession that led you to go on a quest to find out if it was true? Well, we'll have a chance to discuss that later on this week's book segment as we continue to dive into Stephen King's book, You Like It Darker, and cover the short story, Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. My two compadres here will be trying the new cheeseburger pizza in the New Stuff Cafe, where we will discuss the trip to the desert and search for Area 51 and the most recent Nintendo Direct. There's a Nerdy Reads review, some nerdy news, and a lot of fun along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Justin. With me is my friend and self-proclaimed Spice King, Roberts. What's up, dude?
Hey, Justin, what's going on, man? I'm glad to see you made it out of Area 51 alive. I can't wait to hear the tale. And you know what, bro? As always, I'm excited to be here for another episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast. And I have to pull him from the Reddit thread where he is probably still discussing the Acolyte episode 3. It's Dylan.
Listen. Episode 4 is here, okay? And it's still trash.
Oh, wow.
Dang, I knew it was coming, dude. I saw a lot of reviews talking trash about Acolytes episode 4, so I was like, I'm sure my boy Dylan's hurting right now.
So do Star Wars fans just hate Star Wars, Dylan?
Yes.
No, we love Star Wars, so we just hate Disney.
Okay. Fair enough. What about Andor? That was Disney. You like that one?
Yeah, see, I'm wearing this because I'd actually rather watch Andor instead of the Acolyte, and I don't like Andor.
Look at this guy.
All right, guys. Well, anyway, dude, I asked in the Discord earlier what everybody likes on their pizza, right? And Levi told me to ask you two what it means, but he said the kitchen sink. Does that mean this dude just puts any and everything in this pizza?
Listen. This brother goes to rapid fire
God.
and just says yes. You want
Like
some you want
multiple
pepperoni?
sauces?
Yes.
He literally
You want the
says
classic
everything.
Yes. You want the cheese? Yes. Mozzarella or yes. You want yes. Mushrooms? Yes. Pineapple? Yes. You want banana? Yes. Yes. Olives? Almost
Oliver.
You, Justin. Listen, this brother gets anything and everything put on his pizza. It's absolutely disgusting.
And when you said rapid fire pizza, it's even worse because, dude, you could get one topping and you're lucky if that dough's cooked through.
It's kind of true, though.
This
Yeah, he definitely does that.
A raw coat. Hey, Levi, dude, shout out, man. I remember being young and having a gut of steel. And then probably my favorite Discord username, Chris P. Bacon, said he likes anything other than pineapple and anything white. Shout out, Justin.
It's foul.
Yeah. If you're out there ordering a chicken bacon ranch pizza and you're putting ranch as the sauce base on a pizza, go get help. All right.
Yeah. I know Aquila. I don't know if Aquila listens to the show, but he's like that type of dude. He's the dude that would pour ranch dressing on his little square piece of pizza in high school, you know? Those sick people that do that kind of stuff. Dylan's shaking his head. That's you, huh?
Yeah.
You all need help. All y'all
You
need
all
help.
do.
I'm a ranch on pizza kind of guy.
You know,
I don't know about the base sauce, but ranch on pizza is fire.
We had some normal answers too. Like user Corbin said he likes the little pepperoni cups that like crisp up and make like a little bowl. Those are good. Put some hot
Full
sauce
of grease,
on the
a little
pizza.
grease in each one of those bowls.
Hey, bro, that sounds good to me. And then Adelana Ash said it's easier to say what she doesn't like, pineapples and anchovies, which I respect that as well. And she also shouted out margarita pizza. That's actually my favorite go-to pizza. If I'm at a pizza joint sitting down and I look through their menu, I almost always gravitate towards margarita pizza. It's just a classic. We had the one house elf with pepperoni and spinach. And one more, let's see, Super Reader said bacon, pineapple, and banana peppers. I've never had this combo. I don't like pineapple on pizza, but I'm curious about this one.
I'm not an anti-pineapple on pizza type of dude. I think it's fine, but pepperoni. I can't believe you just skated over pepperoni and spinach. I mean, both those things are fine. They're both good, but it's just an interesting combo. I don't know if I've heard somebody say, hey, the two toppings I eat on my pizza are spinach and pepperoni. I don't hate it. It's fine. It sounds fine.
It is unusual. All right. But
hey, you're unique, and there's nothing wrong with unique, right? It's beautiful.
Right. And then user Cryptic, he said that he goes for mushroom, pepperoni, banana peppers, which that's my wife and I's. Like if we're ordering from a chain, like your Papa John's, Domino's, Pizza Hut, that's the 3 toppings we get thin crust every time out the door. So if you never had that combo, Dylan, Justin, obviously you can't have that combo. Hit it up. It's delicious. Dude, what's yours? What's your go-to? Vegan Bro, my plant-based bread. What you eating on your pizza?
So I can tell you the place I go and what I order there. I really love Boomba's pizza. I like the garden pizza with the vegan cheese on a Tuesday when it's half price for their specialty pizzas. What up?
Man, spoken like a true old man, dude, with the discount, the coupons. Dylan, what you got, man?
Listen, I like to keep it simple. Okay. Any kind of meat is all me. Okay. Just a meat pizza.
You just like meats, huh?
I love the meat.
All the meats. I guess so does Solid Matt 13, because he said he's like a pepperoni sausage onion, but he'll eat anything on a pizza except for green peppers. And Rubbish chimed in with jalapenos, pineapple, and Canadian bacon.
That's an interesting choice, man.
The jalapenos had me curious. The pineapples drew me away, but the Canadian bacon brought me back in. Thanks, Rubbish.
You're going to have pineapple on your pizza here very soon.
I'm going to try some of these combinations, dude. It's happening.
All right, guys. It is time for Nerdy Reads Reviews. Hey, you have heard of Comic Corner or Manga Madness. We have added Nerdy Reads Reviews to mix up, where we will be reviewing books that we read in between our book club. This week, Robert is sharing his most recent read. So why don't you hit us with it, brother?
All right, guys, this last week I checked out Good Omens, The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. These are 2 huge names in books today, as you know. This book dropped in 1990 before either one of those dudes were particularly world renowned that they are these days. But this book is about heaven and hell gearing up for the end of times, but not everyone on both sides is ready to see the world end. So you have Aziraphale, who's this angel, and then you have a demon, Crowley. They actually love Earth. They want Earth to continue, so they form an unlikely partnership to try and prevent the apocalypse. This book's a classic for a reason. I had never read this book. I know there's a TV show based off of it. I'd never seen it prior to going in. I just heard a lot of good things about this, so I jumped in, and I'm here to say it stands the test of time. It's a satire on the apocalypse. From the opening pages to the scene in the hospital, there's this hilarious little baby swap that happens. I knew I was going to be in for a treat. I would highly recommend it. If you like the movie Dogma, this is in the same vein as that. The characters you meet along the way, besides Aziraphale and Crowley, add to the charm of the story as it unfolds. The writing is witty. There's playful commentary on religion as they explore blurred lines between good and evil. And the humor is British in nature, that it's very absurd and over the top. So there's dry wit throughout. It kept me engaged. The ensemble cast of characters is a reason to keep reading. The humor. And Pratchett and Gaiman took this intricate plot full of characters and gave us a complete story with a satisfying ending. I love the final chapter and the nice little epilogue. It puts a bow on everything. If I'm going to give this book one nitpick, I had pacing problems, but it's a me problem. I like to stop at a chapter, move on with life, come back later. There's only 7 chapters in this book. So my OCD was some of these chapters are 100. One of them was 150 pages long.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't get through that one sitting. So definitely a me problem on the pacing. But I highly recommend you guys check it out. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's a very lighthearted take on the end of the world. That's Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett.
So I hear a lot of cool things about Terry Pratchett. He's a dude that I feel like I would like if I read his stuff. From everything I've seen and heard, because a lot of times when we've talked about even books that we love, Legends and Lattes, Bookshops of Bone Dust. Everyone's like, well, you should try Terry Pratchett, you know? And even Travis Baldree said Terry Pratchett was like one of his influences. So it's always been a person that I've wanted to try and read some of his stuff. Neil Gaiman, on the other hand, is one of my favorite authors. So I definitely want to try this book out. Sounds really, really cool. Sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm actually Neil Gaiman. I was already a fan of. This is my first introduction to Terry Pratchett. I'm highly curious about his Discworld series. So I don't know how you jump into that thing. I know it's several books long, but I'm definitely going to read some more of his stuff in the future.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, guys. Well, give us just a few minutes. I think we need to take a break because Dylan's got his mind in the gutter. So we better pass the butter and go to the New Stuff Cafe. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the New Stuff Cafe. We have a couple topics that we're excited to talk about, but before we do, we have a brand new item, what our friend Robert would call a food crime, that they're going to be trying out today. And as you know, I'm not going to be trying this, but I didn't come empty-handed. This is brought to you by Liquid Death. I wish we were sponsored by them.
And we honestly, shameless plug, every New Stuff Cafe from here on out is sponsored by Liquid Death. Even though we're not actually sponsored by Liquid Death.
I wish we were sponsored by Liquid Death. Bro, I try every new flavor. This is Blueberry Buzzsaw. It's a tea, so I'll let y'all know how it is. But Robert, go ahead and share with everyone what it is you guys are having today.
Just 6 short days ago, Papa John's unearthed a food crime from their vault known as the cheeseburger pizza. It is a mashup of a classic burger and pizza flavors. So the pie itself is topped with burger sauce, ground beef, tomatoes, pickles, and mozzarella cheese. They even threw in like one of those little signature garlic sauces in case you really wanted to get food crimey with it and dip this thing in garlic butter. I did not want to go that deep. I don't know if Dylan did.
Dylan's face said it all just then. Dylan definitely got the garlic butter, bro.
No. I actually opted in for the cheeseburger pizza.
Oh, nice. Yes.
I changed it up a little bit.
So you can actually get the cheeseburger pizza 3 different ways. You can get it in the bites like Dylan has, or you can get the papadilla, which is just a small pizza folded over to resemble a calzone. Or you can do what I did and order just a large pizza. The large pizza set me back $9.99. Smells pretty good. The pickles look weird.
$9.99 is not bad for a specialty pizza from there.
Heck no, dude.
I think I paid $10.99 for my sausage pizza. So I mean that's actually impressive.
Yeah, dude. There's ground
just a sausage
beef.
only. One topping was more than the cheeseburger. Whoa,
yeah,
that's crazy.
That
All right, man. I'm ready to dive in here and try this thing. So yeah,
Yep.
Skull.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure and get
that sauce in there.
Why did you bake the crust first? What a freak, bro! Who eats a pizza like that? While they're doing the pizza, I'll just say this: Blueberry Buzzsaw, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I'll give this a reigning review, as always.
Yeah, that is some freakish behavior from Robert.
Isn't it though? I don't know who goes crust first. I feel like you're alien, bro. Bro, you guys are chewing right into the mic, too. Dylan, you were the worst, man.
In honor of the Optic Blast broadcast doing an episode on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I thought this was a good week for us to do a pizza. I feel like this pizza brings shame upon the turtle name. This is weird.
Did you try 3 bites or was that just one?
I only gave it 1 bite, huh?
Okay, all right. Because the crust bite doesn't count. That's gross. That pickle, the cheese was hanging onto that pickle by a thread, bro. If you're watching our show today on YouTube, which, shameless plug, we are on YouTube now. We're very sorry for what you're witnessing right now.
The pizza exploded. Toppings went everywhere. My dogs are very happy right now, and I have a mess to clean up. This might be better if it's like one of those things I eat when it's like hot. I should have nuked it. But if you're burger pizza curious, definitely try it. I think it's worth $10. The burger sauce is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It just reminds me of like a Big Mac sauce. The pickle is probably the weirdest part on this pizza. It gives you a little pop.
So the sauce is like a Thousand Island type sauce, or
I guess so, man. I know it looks like a Thousand Island dressing. It looks like Max. I only have a good view of it because all the toppings literally slid off on a bite. So I'm stuck with this orange crust here.
Dylan, because you're in the blue light, Dylan, the sauce just looks really weird when you try to show it to us.
Yeah, man, definitely worth the try for $9.99 just to say you did. Would I order this again? Maybe like the Papadilla version.
Dylan, what are your thoughts, bro? You've just been digging in. I haven't heard a word from you though.
So
is that good?
It's not bad. It's mostly just bread that I taste when eating it. I feel like it doesn't have enough filler stuff like in the middle. I'm also not 100% sure if there are tomatoes or pickles on this one.
Oh wow, you got robbed
like
of
they
the
just
burger,
got me. Yeah, I feel like they just kind of gave me cheese and meat, which I don't like. I'm not a big tomato or pickle fan anyway.
So
at least not on my burger. So I mean, it's good. It's just not. It just tastes like I'm eating bread and burger sauce. The burger sauce, though, I actually like. I'm a big burger sauce fan. Any kind of burger sauce, really, like from anywhere. I feel like I've always liked, no matter what the recipe is or what brand it is. So,
all right,
I do like that. But overall, I give it like a 7.
7's good, dude. You know, Dylan, I think the pickles give you a pop of acid that really helps balance it out. It was weird at first, but honestly, I'm going to try this again warm. You know, I keep going back for more bites of it. I almost ate the whole slice. That did.
Dude, this is the most typical. I mean, before we get into our discussion points, most typical Robert food review of all time starts off, it's trash. Second bite, I don't think I'll ever eat this again. Third bite, I should have eaten this maybe when it was warm and ready. By the fourth bite, this isn't that bad. Maybe you should try it. Fifth bite, I'd get this again.
I'm in the acceptance phase of my grief with this food crime.
If you follow us on social media, you may have seen the recent journey that was taken out to Nevada. You know, our sightings of the week, that every time we get them from TikTok, they're in 480p and somebody's shooting through branches or some other object to try to capture an alien or a dragon or whatever it is. So we decided to go out to Nevada and try to find Area 51 and try to capture an alien sighting ourselves. So guys, I'll just go ahead and just kind of tell you guys what happened. Me and my wife, she was actually going to be on the show, but we filmed too late. So she was like, I'm going to be too tired. So her version, we'll have to get her version on this at some point. Cause you know, we see things
to YouTube shorts.
There you go. We see things very differently as some of this, but so we went to Vegas to see Adele. And while we were there, we were like, okay, well, what else are we going to do while we're there? Neither one of us really gamble. I don't like losing money. The idea of it just kind of like makes me a little ill. So I was like, we decided we were going to rent a car. We were going to do the Grand Canyon and we were going to do Extraterrestrial Highway. Well, as we're kind of weighing out our options of what we're going to do, we decided we were going to do Extraterrestrial Highway because Maggie didn't want to sit in the car for 4.5 hours one way to get to the Grand Canyon and back. And Extraterrestrial Highway was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And we really wanted to do that, but it was like completely opposite way of Vegas. So we ended up doing that. And dudes, first thing I'll say is everything that you have ever watched from anything desert movie-esque, it's all real. It's the weirdest thing when you're out there. So we leave Las Vegas and we're heading towards Rachel, Nevada. And between Rachel, Nevada and Las Vegas, you drive about an hour and a half before you get to a town called Alamo, Nevada, which is like one gas station and a couple ranches. And that's it. And then the rest of the way you're driving to Rachel, Nevada. And that's only 2 towns in like 2 hours and 45 minutes. So you are literally in the middle of nowhere. And
No gas stations?
there was one gas station. And so you're driving and, there's a car on the side of the road as we're going out there. And it had been there a while. Like it was coated in a film of dust and bullet holes all over the place in it. So I guess people just get bored and drive around, just shoot cars that are on the side of the road or whatever. But you would be driving and then you'd see some Breaking Bad situation where you'd see an RV parked off into the desert next to a mountain somewhere, just out in the middle of this desert. Dude, there's no trees. It's just dead bushes and literally tumbleweeds. It was the craziest thing. So we're driving out and we get to Rachel, Nevada, which was a town with a population of 20 people. There's 20 people that live here. That's it. They have one gas station where the gas was like crazy high, astronomically high. And they even have on the sign like questions people ask. Like 3 questions, like where's the back gate to Area 51? And the second one was like, why is gas so expensive? And they say, because we live in the middle of nowhere. So they have a gas station. It's called Alien Cowpoke or something like that. And then they have the world famous Little Alien, which was a restaurant, a bar, and a motel. And so we were like, dude, we're going to eat at the Little Alien.
Got to.
And we got to. We're all the way out here. We're going to do the thing. We actually went into the Cowpoke place to meet the people and just kind of see what was going on there and talk to them for a little bit. Then we go to the Little Alien and we get there and there's like one family and us. And the dude comes to wait on us. And he's everything that you would want from some experience like this. The dude comes up and he's wearing a full blown button down collared shirt. And the pattern is aliens. And so this whole entire place is themed out with alien stuff. They got t-shirts, magnets, all the things that you'd ever want to buy. The whole entire menu, Dylan, you said you liked sauce. They had like an alien sauce on one of their burgers. Sounds a little questionable to me. But anyway, so we sit there, we order our food, we hang out. And so we start talking to him and we're asking him questions and we're trying to figure out more and more about, this area. And I was like, dude, you've been asked this a million times. I'm going to ask you anyway. He goes, all right, I'll probably give you a smart aleck answer anyway. So, he was just fun.
I respect it.
Yes. And I was like, have you ever seen anything out here? He goes, I've seen everything out here. I go, okay, what's that mean? So he starts telling us all this stuff, 57,000 acres of restricted airspace out there. And so like he was talking about how right out in front of Rachel, Nevada, these F-16s, there were 2 of them flying really low to the ground. You could literally see the desert dust just flying up from these jets just flying by. He was telling us how people will come out and they will stay there for like a couple months and they will watch the sky every night and film and try to capture some things. And he was talking about a dude who captured both in day and night this thing that looked like a flaming donut flying around out there. So he was kind of sharing some of those things with us. And so Maggie was like, well, have you lived here your whole life? And this was one of the coolest stories because do you guys remember when they did the, Rush Area 51?
The Naruto run to it type deal, that internet meme?
Well, when everybody was saying, hey, we're going to storm Area 51.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were trying to get all the people and they were like, hey, everybody, we're going to do this. This was 5 years ago. And so all these people are saying, hey, we're going to storm Area 51. Everybody get here or whatever. So he was like, dude, I was just traveling the country. I was just doing my thing, living my best life. And I was like, I'll go do that. And so he shows up to Rachel, Nevada, where 13,000 people are camping out there. And they're all standing on the line of Area 51. He's like, we're on one side and the military's on the other side, just staring at us like, don't do it. Like, don't even think about crossing this line. And he said it ended up being like bands came out and it ended up being just everyone's drinking and doing whatever drugs they want to do and just partying and having a good time. So it ends up just being this like throwdown and ends up being more of a party than like a storm Area 51. But he was like, I did that, I came here for that, and I just never left. It was the most like, hey, I just live my best life. I'm just here in Rachel, Nevada. So he was a very interesting dude. I just highly recommend if you're out that way, go hang out and just talk with these guys. I mean, they want to do that. They want to talk and share stories with you, but such an interesting experience because I don't know if I've ever been anywhere this rural before. So then we're like, well, how do you get to that gate? We hear about this. So he started giving us directions. He goes, you go out of this highway, you turn right at the first dirt road, and then you drive 9 miles. I was like, on a dirt road? And they're like, yep. So we get in our car, and I'm like, well, I mean, this is weird. Just turning it down a unmarked dirt road. And you're like, you just drive on it until you get to someplace, huh? And so we get on this dirt road, we're driving. I start getting super nervous because, you're driving 9 miles at like 30 miles an hour when you're heading towards a place that you're not supposed to be. It's like the most unnerving.
You think you were going to get sniped, dude?
Dude, okay. So yeah, I did. And so so we're looking at our GPS. All of a sudden the GPS goes blank because you're out there and like, you don't have there's nothing. Like, and so we're like, dude, this is crazy. So as we're driving, we get to it, and there's another car parked up there. I guess they were doing the same thing we were doing, but you can literally pull up to this back gate to Area 51. There's all these signs that's like no photography, do not cross, like use force and all these different things. And so we get out, it's like no photography, and we're like selfies, take a picture by the back gate. But long story short, no aliens. But we did see some really, really cool stuff. No aliens outside of concrete aliens and all the fun stuff, but it was the perfect, like, cheesy trip that, I love that type of stuff where you just go and all of it's just goofy, but kind of fun. And you get to hear some cool stories from some very cool people who are just out there living their best life and enjoying what they're doing, which whole thing's themed on aliens anyway. And there's apparently like a crash there like 20 years ago, so that's a part of their claim to fame as well. So pretty cool place. Definitely recommend the trip. It's really fun. Go check out the Little Alien. I was telling Maggie I'd like to go out there and spend a couple nights, so maybe we'll report back. You never know.
I have two follow-up questions to this. Number one, what souvenirs did you bring back from the Little Alien? I know they had a gift shop.
Bro, they had everything that you could possibly think of. Me and Maggie collect magnets from everywhere we go. And so we got a magnet from the little cowpoke, or the cowpoke alien and Little Alien. So yeah, and Las Vegas also. But yeah, so we got magnets, and we ate. So it's like, and we tipped really well because it's like, whatever. Like, because the food was super cheap. I'm talking, because when you're in Vegas, dude, like, I don't know if you can eat under $80 unless you go and eat fast food. It's absolutely crazy how much it costs to eat out there. But you go to the Little Alien, bro, $22, bro.
Hey, dude,
you can't a couple meals. Can't beat that. So, from solid people.
My last question about this trip does not concern the Little Alien, unfortunately. I want to know, what was the most expensive thing you ate while you were in Las Vegas?
So, man, that's a good question. So, I mean, we gambled $20 each. I won. I made a bet on the Colorado Rapids to win their soccer game 2-0, and they did win. So I won $105.
Heck yeah.
So, heck yeah, bro. And so I was like, man, we should go eat somewhere nice. And so and $105 doesn't really get you somewhere super nice there. It's like what we would call like an El Nepal around here. Okay.
Wow.
So we ate like a Mexican restaurant inside the Flamingo, and that was like the most expensive meal we got. But we were trying really hard to figure out how to do it all on a budget. So we ate like Denny's, and the Denny's there, like the Grand Slam. I don't know how much a Grand Slam is here in the Midwest, but the Grand Slam at like Las Vegas Strip is like $22. So it's like they're proud of everything there, bro. They're proud of everything. Dude, the Sphere was super cool. Like, that thing was really cool from the outside. I think I sent you a picture, the One Piece stuff. Like, that was really, really cool. A lot of Grateful Dead things going on out there. And then we saw Adele, which, that was great. So Maggie loves Adele. So.
Hey, dude, sounds like you guys had a great time. You did send me a picture of you guys, and you were at Denny's. And I was like, dude, I love it. You go on vacation, you stay humble, you remember your roots, you're at Denny's. We don't even have a Denny's by us anymore. My man, he's got Maggie eating the moons over Miami on vacation.
I don't like the way you said that. Oh, man. Yeah, so it was a good time. We'll all have to take a trip searching for aliens one day for our sighting of the week. We'll go at Nerdy Reads search. We need to do Roswell. We'll do a show from Roswell. That'd be awesome, actually. Guys, give us just a few minutes. We'll be right back and we're going to get into this week's book where we're going to talk about the short story, Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, here in just a moment. All right, everybody, you have made it. We are here. It is part 4 of our book club series. We have covered 4 of the short stories from Stephen King's book, You Like It Darker. And today we are tackling our 5th story titled Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. Robert, what is this about?
Danny Coughlin keeps having the same nightmare over and over again. There's a gas station in the middle of nowhere with a body out behind it. A dog is involved, and he's eating the hand of the body. Danny tries to ignore this, but night after night, the dream comes to him. So he drives out there to confirm that the nightmare is more than just a bad dream, and he actually discovers the body of a young girl. Danny, attempting to do a good deed, alerts the police, but now he finds himself as the prime suspect for the murder of Yvonne Wickers.
Hey, this one here is tagged. Really, mystery is the big one. It's a very mystery drama. There really isn't a ton of horror to this one in my mind, but it really weighs heavy in that mystery tag.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'd say like mystery, crime, thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Danny's like your likable enough protagonist. He's like a divorced dude. He's a school custodian. He lives in a small town. He's just getting by in life, and he's, finding little things day by day that makes him happy. I think early in the book, he mentioned something about, you can't live in the past. So he stopped worrying about the past. He doesn't worry about the future. He just kind of lives in the now and goes day by day. And he keeps having that nightmare. And he Googles it because for whatever reason, my man's like, I want to know if this is a real gas station. It is. And he drives out to the gas station and sees the dog and the body. And the way this dude, I'm going to let you take it from here, dude. The way this guy reports the crime to the police is like 101 and, hey, make me a murder suspect.
So I agree with that 100%. So my man goes to the, if I remember correctly, goes to the closest other gas station or town and buys a burner phone.
Yeah.
So you buy a burner phone to report a murder victim or a body. I don't know if he knows it's a murder victim, but I'm sure he assumes it's a murder victim because, here's a dead body behind a vacant gas station. Put a couple things together. But then he gets the burner phone, calls it in, and they're like, well, what's your name and who are you? And he goes, please, you got to get there and help her. You got to help her. She's back there by herself. There's a dog, and he even puts like a trash can over her hand.
Yeah,
so
he puts like a barrel over or something. Yeah.
So the dog doesn't continue eating the body. But so he does all these things and he does a lot of things wrong, which kind of leads to why sometimes some of the investigators are like, well, I mean, if he's like this genius, why did he report the crime in such a dumb way? And so he definitely did. Yeah, like you said, it's like red flags everywhere, which is why I think that even if I was an investigator, I'm like, nah, he did it.
Yeah,
he did it.
100%.
He wants people to start calling him some sort of serial killer name so he can watch the news and, get famous or whatever. But yeah, so it was very shifty, but yeah.
Yeah, it was shifty, dude. So like he reported it with the burner phone, even went as far as to pay with the burner phone in cash, making him look even more suspect. He's like, he starts to use his debit card. He goes, hold on, am I dumb? It's like, yeah, Danny, you are. What are you doing, dude?
Well, and I think too, like when you think about this scene, the way that he does this beginning, because there is all the things, and it's Stephen King, and we tend to overthink Stephen King books anyway.
Absolutely.
It made you think, okay, well, what is actually happening? What is he legitimately hiding? Even though we're seeing things from his point of view and we're hearing from him, and like you said, very likable character, it made it hard to trust him 100% because of this dumb move.
It did, and I would have to go back and like skim to see, but I don't remember him ever saying why he put the barrel over and reported the crime the way he did, like what his thought process was in doing this, like why he wanted to remain anonymous. I don't know. Honestly, I can't remember if it was even mentioned, but this book's written during like COVID years. Cell towers exist, security cameras everywhere. This dude thought because he paid cash with the burner phone, he's going to be all right. So, yeah, I 100% was not surprised when the two investigators, Ella Davis and Frank Jailbert, showed up. They were like KBI officers. And the first thing they do are like, okay, he did it. It's like, yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah, I see why you would think he did it.
And the way Davis is even questioning him is from an angle of like, I know you did this. Why don't you just come clean?
Right.
You know, you're going to feel so much better. And, you know, I know we'll get into more of the Jailbert stuff here a little later in this discussion, but he was one of my, and I know he's an unlikable dude, but he was one of my favorite characters I've read about in a long time, just from just all the things he had going on. I just found him to be just a very interesting character, well-written character, you know, just a lot of things where I was just like, man, I don't like him. Like, I would not want this dude investigating me for anything. But also at the same time, I was like, this dude's like, I don't know, just a very good character for the story.
Yeah, dude. He reminded me of like those serial killer documentaries or a show I used to watch where like the detectives or the leads in these they have to be as smart as the killers. So they try and get in that mindset. Like if this story would have flipped in a way where Jailbert was the killer, I wouldn't have even been surprised.
Dude,
that's how whacked out he is.
Yes.
But, so it wouldn't have even shocked me. Ella she was like just kind of a cookie cutter character, like your typical like by the book cop. She actually was the way a police officer I feel should be, like innocent until proven guilty. Like she was kind of at first hard in on like, yeah, he did it. But as she got to talk to Coughlin and kind of picked up on some cues, like at one point, Frank's like, hey, take his DNA. Because he lied and said there was like, you know, DNA left on the corpse. And Danny's like relieved. He's like, yeah, please take my DNA.
Yes.
And Ella was kind of like, okay, maybe he is innocent because I saw this relief in his face when we were doing the DNA swab. And shortly after that happens, like Danny has what he referred to in the book as the week of hell, where every single day his life just progressively gets worse after Frank and Ella arrive in town. Like he had to fire one of his coworkers because they were late. And then Frank Jailbert leaked the details of the investigation to the local ad paper, which was like a coffee talk style deal. And after that story leaked, the next day, Danny loses his job due to budget cuts, but it was because he was, you know, prime suspect in a murder case. And then the next one where Jailbert kind of oversteps his position a little bit, like he runs into Danny at the supermarket and he makes this big scene in this small town of people about question Danny. And he's working in this way, all in a way to get Danny to confess to something because they don't have enough to just outright arrest him. There's not enough evidence for them to bring him in.
Yeah. You know, I think we're far enough into talking about this now where I think it would be, you know, okay to talk about some of Gilbert's stuff, Frank's stuff, where he counts.
Yeah.
And he does that all the time. He talks about it. And what do you remember exactly what that was called again?
It was arithmomania.
Arithmomania. Yeah. So he counts everything. So he'll be like, it takes 4 steps to get here. 4 steps to get here with 1 chair. 4 + 1 is 5. You know, he would do all these things. And so sometimes he would just randomly spout out a number. And so, you know, every night it seems like it was like a closing thing in the chapter of this where he'd be in his hotel room. He goes, I got to walk the chairs. Walking the chairs helps. I need to walk the chairs, you know? And so he's talking about Coughlin and he believes he did it with all his heart, that he did it. And so he's walking the chairs trying to figure out how he did it. And as he's counting, helps him go to sleep. It's just the most and I know I talked about that earlier about him being one of my favorite characters in this. And I think it's because out of all the characters, he was the one that felt the most complex in a lot of ways. Because even Danny, like you said, Danny's just your likable dude. If you're playing a video game and you took the good route, it seems like all of Danny's answers feel like the answers that you would take to play the good role. He's not really neutral. He's just like that good. Ella Davis, same way. She's just like your very stereotypical police officer who is a partner to somebody who starts to kind of believe. There's some of those things that are like tropes that you kind of see and maybe you've seen a little bit before, but I think Frank is that wrench thrown into this where he's just got some things going on that are just a little bit different and bizarre in some ways or unique to us and makes him, so he's one of those what was that dude's name in Game of Thrones? Joffrey.
Okay.
You know how Joffrey was the dude is that his name? Joffrey?
Hey, bro, ain't nobody like Joffrey.
But
Joffrey is the worst.
Exactly. But he's so bad that he was good, right? Like for the show, like people just
everybody loves someone to like, they just want to see fail. Joffrey
so I feel like Frank's that guy. I think he's the dude who, in this story, for me at least, he was kind of that light for me where I'm like, dude, you need this dude. I cannot stand this dude. But if he wasn't here, the
story wouldn't be as good. Like you need that. Like this guy is so convinced that Danny Coughlin is full of, for his dream. He's like, there's no way you dream this. You just dreamed the exact location of a murder body or of a body. You dreamed the exact location where a murderer stashed the body and you just happened to drive out there. And he refuses to believe it, dude. And Danny literally just does everything in his power to prove his innocence. He's like, look, dude, here's my cell phone. It's yours. It'll show you the location of everywhere I have been for months. Here's my truck. Go swat, do whatever you need to do. Clean it up. You'll find nothing. I'll take a polygraph. And Frank's like, nah, because psychopaths can beat the polygraph. Yep. You're a psychopath. And Frank's really the psychopath in the story. But that arithmomania disorder, which is something I love when books make me do this, like it was so bizarre and so out there. I went to Google. I wanted to see if this thing was real. So I Googled it. And it actually is, dude. It's a disorder where you just constantly count things in your head and make abstract calculations out of nothing or out of just random things. So like he calls that newspaper and he leaks Danny's investigation. Well, the newspaper had 5 options. Well, his arithmomania starts getting so bad, he just starts randomly spouting out numbers in conversation. It's something Ella picked up on. And when Ella's asking the newspaper, like, hey, do you have a recording of who called in? Well, Frank had used a voice decoder, so you didn't know it was him. But the actual smoking gun that gave him away was his counting, because he just randomly says 15.
Yeah.
And Ella's worked with him enough that she knows, okay, there was 5 things on this. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. Frank leaked it, which it led to a cool scene with her confronting him in his hotel room. And that's where I thought the stinger was going to come, because this whole story is like Frank's trying to catch Danny. He becomes more bold. He even goes as far as to like plant cocaine in this dude's car.
Yeah.
Like it gets crazy. And I'm just like, okay, this whole book has been Frank trying to catch Danny doing something and Danny trying to prove his innocence. And it's like, it gets progressively worse as it goes. Is Frank going to end up being the murderer? And when Ella meets him in the hotel room, I thought that's where we were going. Okay, here we go. Frank's about to snap.
Yeah. I mentioned this last week with our other episodes, and I feel like I should do this again. The voice acting for this book was top notch. The dude doing this, I'm telling you, he's amazing at it. One of my favorite actors anyway, but it was cool because on that scene, they actually used a voice coder for that. Oh, and so he's doing all this. So it's like her, you might want to do this and it's going to do blah, blah, blah. And at the end it goes, 15. And you're like, what? And you're like, oh, dude, there it is. So it was just kind of funny. I laughed. I chuckled. I was like, well, there you go. She's like, it's him. It's Frank, But it was just kind of, that whole thing was really wild to me because he would just be having conversations with anybody. And he's like, in the middle of something, even when he was confronting Danny at the school, and he's holding the newspaper. And then I think at the end he goes 23. And then he's like, what? And he goes, nothing, what?
Yeah, he didn't even realize he was doing it.
Exactly. And so it's just one of those things. And, he always talked about it. And I think this is why we were always kind of led down the path of like, well, what's going to actually happen is because even when he would count in his hotel room, he goes, well, this is harmful. This doesn't hurt anybody. This is okay for me to do because this is not harmful. It doesn't hurt anybody,
Right.
Which I think gave us all wild predictions, which I know we will talk about here in a little while. But anyway, it's very interesting stuff.
I was actually surprised when Frank didn't attack Ella or turn out. He was just like a dude who had his own disorder, and that disorder helped him solve cases. He just could not let go of the fact that Danny might be innocent. He was just like, no, I have everything. The gut tells me it was him. So Danny is still wrongfully accused. And he actually, because of this accusation, he ends up shot by the murder victim's brother. Dude just gets wasted. And he goes to the hospital. And while he's in the hospital, it's revealed that the actual serial killer has been caught, that he's been going state to state, picking up hitchhikers, murders them and disposes of their bodies in rural areas. I think it's 3 or 4 states he did it in.
Yeah, like Illinois, what was it? Illinois, Washington, and then wherever they were, or something like
Kansas.
that. Kansas, yeah.
And it's even after the serial killer's revealed, hey, we caught him, Frank does not let go. He's like, Danny's involved. Danny's this guy's wingman. That's why Danny's truck was clean, because they were doing it all in this van. Danny's involved in all of this.
They're team killers is what he kept saying. He goes, this wouldn't be the first time. This has happened before. And just to show how good Danny is. Again, if you're looking at an RPG game and you have that little side screen that goes, how are you going to respond to this next question? When his lawyer's in the hospital and he says, hey, what they caught him. He goes, caught who? The guy who shot me? He goes, no, the actual killer. And then Danny asks the lawyer later, well, what happened to the kid? And they're like, well, he made bail. And so they're going to press, have these things. But even Danny at that moment's like, well, I don't want to press charges. Dude's been shot in the gut, has surgery, doesn't know what's going to happen. He knows he's probably going to recover to some degree, but they're like, this is going to be a hard recovery, that kind of thing. He got shot in the gut, which is just a different kind of thing. And so, Danny was just this dude who's just a stand-up guy. He's like, well, I don't want to press charges on him. I want him to be okay, kind of thing. And so, but Frank's like, nah, bro, Danny still did it. I don't care what they say. I don't care that there's another killer out there on the loose that's been doing this. Danny did it with him. They did it to her together, all that kind of stuff. So he just couldn't let it go. And then I'll let you close us out with the ending of this, which,
well, Danny threw me for a loop too, dude. Danny has a different dream in the hospital. He dreams there's going to be a shooting at the hospital, specifically involving someone down at the nurse's station from him. He knows it's going to be Frank. So he calls Ella and he's like, hey, I need you to get to the hospital quick. You're not going to be able to call the police. Frank's smart enough. He's going to have them divert it, which he did. He called the local police sheriff and was like, hey, bomb threat at the school. So every cop in that area is at the school because they have a bomb threat, while Frank's on his way to shoot up Danny in the hospital. And he called Ella. Ella ends up getting there, and it was a really cool, tense scene. The ending was really rad for what the story was. It was a thrilling conclusion. I don't know if I should spoiler alert at the ending. What's up, dude?
Dude, we're doing it. We're a book club at this point. So if you're listening to us right now, hopefully you read the story. If you haven't and you want to stop now and go check this out, go do that. But go ahead and give us the ending. Dylan, close your ears if you're going to read this, bro.
Yeah. Our boy Arithmomania Frank, even in the end, he's got the numbers going on. and he actually just counts down. And instead of like killing someone that's innocent, he could not handle the fact that Danny could be innocent, and he didn't know what was going on with himself. And unfortunately, my man took his life. Yeah. And he even did it as he was counting down in his little way that he does. So, dude, it was a conclusion to the story. Danny ended up being innocent all along. He got his happy ending. You kind of feel sad for Frank. The guy was doing his job, and he was on this. He did this for like 20 plus years, and his head just got the better of him in the end.
Well, and they even talked about, I mean, decorated, for several awards and all the things that happen when you're a celebrated police officer, detective kind of deal. I don't know of the inner workings of that world, but they talked about it in here, how that's just who he was. He was a well-liked and well-respected in his field. And so, yeah, it ended up ending that way. So I think this is a good time for us to kick into the lightning round, sure, especially because of this first question. So I think we mentioned in the Discord, and I think most of our friends who are in the Discord reading this with us, again, if you want to be a part of that, we highly encourage you to do so. All of us were wrong in our predictions. So, Robert, go ahead and you can start us off. Give the predictions that you had when it came to this book, and tell us how wrong you were, because I was definitely wrong in all mine.
I was way wrong on Danny, actually. Like the bad dream thing. There was a point in the story where Danny talked about like, okay, I was married and, my wife left me. I was an alcoholic. And then I had a friend, and we would go to all these bars and we would get so trashed. And one night we had a big blowout fight, and I woke up with the worst hangover, and me and my best friend never talked again. So I was like, is Danny actually doing these murders? Like, he just gets so blitzed out on alcohol that he does this and then just forgets about it. And then his dreams are like subconsciously like, hey, you did this. Like, that's kind of where I thought it was going for a minute. And I'm actually happy to be wrong. You know what? I'm glad I overthink things sometimes. And it was just what it was. And it was just a guy who was in the wrong place at the wrong time and did a bonehead, stupid way to report a crime.
So my big prediction was, so in the beginning, I was like, well, I just don't know how it's not this guy, in a lot of ways. But then I started kind of shifting thoughts. And a lot of this came from the way Frank was in his hotel when he kept talking like counting's best because counting doesn't hurt people. And he would be like, I got to do this for dear sweet Yvonne. I got to get justice for dear sweet Yvonne. Yeah. And so in my mind, I started twisting things around. I'm like, wait, Frank's killing these people, and his way of getting them justice is to make sure somebody pays for the thing that happened. That's what I'm thinking in my mind, is that Frank maybe even doesn't know that he's doing it, or whatever the case may be. And it's just this battle of just supernatural beings coming against each other in some way. I think I overthought this too, because again, it is Stephen King, and this ending felt so normal for what it was to me in a way. Like, when all of it is said and done, Danny ends up being a good guy. Right. Ella Davis gives him a hug, and she's like, I'm so sorry for the fact that we treated you so terribly. Frank ends up looking like the bad guy and ends up taking his own life. All of a sudden, Danny becomes a celebrated dude. All of it feels so happy ending-ish. I know that Frank ends up killing himself, and that's, you got to kind of feel for a dude who's lost himself in that way. But at the end of the day, you look at it, you're like, the good guy is free and he's going to go on and live his life normal. It does not feel like a Stephen King story in a lot of ways. It depends, I guess, on how you look at it. If you look at it as Frank as the main character, then yeah, I guess it does feel like a Stephen King story. But yeah, the ending felt so different than what I expected. And so I think I tried to make more out of this in the way that I was like sitting there trying to process what was happening. So
dude, I think everyone knows Stephen King is like the master of horror, but this dude can write true crime like a dream, man. Joyland, the book Joyland, I've talked about on this show before, is a gem of his. I love the Bill Hodges trilogy, and then last year's phenomenal Holly. Like,
Yeah.
I love when he stays grounded in reality and gives us like crime thrillers or monsters that can appear in real life. And that's largely what this story is, dude. Like 150 pages, 70 chapters, super quick read. So far, my favorite one in the collection.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm making that statement right here. It's my number one. It jumped over Two Talented Beasts.
I don't think so. Two Talented Bastards felt so different in the way that it felt. It just felt like the story made sense to me, and it felt complete. It felt like everything from start to finish felt like a thing.
Yeah,
I think you even mentioned a little bit, maybe off air, that this felt like you were like at the end. You're like, whoa.
I do think the ending felt rushed. If I had a criticism, I feel like this book could have went longer, and I think he may have had ideas for it to go longer because he kind of touched on Danny's brother Stevie a little bit, who lived out in Colorado, and Danny was on his way out there to get out of town, and I feel like that's part 2 of this book that just never happened. And the ending, like Yvonne's brother just showing up out of the blue and shooting Danny and sent him to the hospital. Like, all that just felt very rushed to get to a conclusion to me.
Yeah. Well, even having another serial killer out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. It all just felt
turns himself in because he got stabbed by a woman he was trying to, take advantage of. So it's like all this stuff that you're like, whoa, what just happened,
Yeah.
And I think that's why maybe Two Talented Bastards still sits in the, I love how you have to say it that way.
You have to.
Still sits at the top for me because it just feels as if that story felt very complete. I don't know. But anyway, all right, let's keep it moving. If someone you knew was under investigation for murder, would you treat them the way Danny was treated by his neighbor? So if Dylan, I know that you didn't read this one. You can answer this one first and kind of kick us off. Basically, Danny's suspected of murder. People treat him terribly because they're like, this dude killed this woman. They don't care about the facts. They don't care if there's no evidence against him. They're just like, he did it. We don't want him here. Dylan, are you treating Danny poorly?
Listen.
we're at the point where listen hits before every answer.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Wow.
All right, Robert.
Man, like, I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way like the neighbors in this book did, like throwing bricks at this dude's house, putting dog crap in his mailbox. Hey, he lived in a trailer park, and they were all like, hey, we've collectively decided as a community, like, you got to go. We're done with you. Get out of here. Like, I don't know if I'd do that, but I would definitely kind of have a little side eye. Like,
sure.
If you walked up to me and you were like, the suspect in a murder trial and
you're not watching my kids,
you were a bro, and it's like, hey man, what's new? Like, maybe like, hey, yeah, you're that guy avoiding Target now, man.
You're not going hiking with them out in the middle of nowhere for we're just two couple bros.
Like, I ain't gonna go out of my way to be like rude or like make this person. I don't know, dude. I'm not a cop. I ain't the person who's judging you for this crime, but I'm not gonna chum it up with you at the bar and have a pint either.
That's a fair answer. I think it's just, in those situations, it's best to keep a little bit of distance until things are cleared up. All right. What's your favorite true crime series? This can be anything, really. This could be something fictional, non-fictional. This can be a podcast, TV show, movie. Dylan, kick it off for us.
I'm a big Criminal Minds fan.
Ooh, nice. That's a good one.
That's a good answer, dude. Respect.
I'll go next. There was a podcast called Up and Vanished, which was the podcast that got me into podcasts in the beginning. Robert, I think I called you one day when we first when we first started talking about podcasts. I was like, we should start an investigative podcast.
We've gone everywhere with this thing.
We really have. But dude, that podcast was crazy because this dude, there was a woman who went missing in Georgia back in like the 80s. And he went and investigated this thing. And as he's investigating it, stuff's legitimately turning up because he's stirring the pot so much. And the people who actually did the crime actually came on the podcast before they were revealed as people who were the dudes who did the crime. So it's like a crazy.
They do that stuff, dude.
Yeah. So it was like
flying.
That thing was crazy. So yeah, that was probably the one where I was like, whoa, that's wild. What about you, Robert?
So, dude, I have a nonfiction and a fiction answer. The nonfiction, I'm going to go a podcast like you, and I'll say Serial, which my wife was obsessed with, and she actually told me to listen to it. And it was about a guy who was wrongfully accused for murdering his girlfriend in high school. And then he spent like 20 plus years in prison, and he was let out of prison largely because of this podcast led to him getting a retrial because of all the misinformation of evidence and the way it was spread. So Serial was a good one. And then my fictional answer is going to be Mindhunter on Netflix, based on the 1995 book of the same name, authored by John Douglas. The series follows Agent Holden Ford and Bill Trench, I think his name was. And they a psychologist, Wendy Carr, they operate like the FBI's behavioral science unit. So they essentially, it's at the jump of it when they start interviewing serial killers to try and figure out what makes them tick. So it was like fact with fiction sprinkled in. Like, it was a really good show, dude. I'm sad it's over.
That's cool. Well, guys, as you can tell, this is just another really cool short story by Stephen King. And so we can't close out a segment here without, not the wrong one there, without giving our 3 words to close it out. Robert, what you got?
Never sleep again.
Hey, mine's walk the chairs. Poor Frank. All right, guys. Rip. All right, guys. Give us just a second. We'll be right back for some nerdy news. It's time for Sweet Baby Dylan.
So every time you tune into an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, you can expect some of the latest and greatest news across the nerdverse. And each week, we kick things off with the sighting of the week. And this week comes from It's Weird Time on TikTok. That is the user. It's Weird Time. And it was definitely a weird time for this one because we see what the caption claims is a meteor turned into a UFO. So normally we do try to keep things family friendly on the show. So if you watch this video, just kind of be weary. There's a little bit of a language in there. Just fair warning to the listeners out there. But check it out on our Discord. Robert has it pulled up here. As this meteor comes out of the sky, and they claim it turns into a UFO.
I mean, this video is wild, though. I think. I don't know. I mean, as a dude who wants stuff like this to be true, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the whole meteor just like kind of splits into multiple, and then one of them, like, I believe, starts floating or something.
Yeah.
All right. So unfortunately,
oh no,
I was really into this video, and I was like, "This is crazy, dude! No way!" And I went to the comments.
Oh, the comments ruin everything. What the comments say?
Unfortunately, this is actually a group of people got together and did a skydive, and they had flares on their feet. What? And they lit the flares off. That's why they float the way that they float in this video. So I actually did not believe this comment. I was like, no way. So I went to the Google machine. Yeah, there's pictures of them. There's all types of stuff, dude.
Wow.
This is the first time Robert's ever just straight up killed.
Because I was so excited. I was so excited.
Say, bro, you just like straight up debunked my sighting on
so
Why would you do a thing like that, bro?
I was excited for this one. I'm sorry.
I'll say this. Even if you, even though that this has been debunked, I still think this is it. Even knowing that's pretty dope, though. Seeing it, because it does look pretty cool.
You could ask the question, is that what it is, or did the government get these people out there to hide the sighting? We'll never know.
I'm going to go with that. I like that.
Justin is our Area 51 expert, so what he says is
I've been to the back gate. I'm sorry. Hey, I've been there. Hey,
wow.
Hey,
next,
dude, you got exactly. Next, move on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said last week, summertime is a great time for gamers, and we're going to continue talking about it with a new game that has recently been announced with some gameplay and a trailer, and it was pretty interesting to me, being a horror fan, not only of horror video games but also movies. And one of I don't know if I'd say it's one of my favorite, but definitely one that I found entertaining is A Quiet Place. And A Quiet Place, they're actually coming out with a first-person survival horror game called A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, and that'll be coming to Series X and S this year, as well as PlayStation 5 and PC. So it's made by Saber Interactive, and they, like I said, released a trailer and some gameplay. So go check that out if you haven't found it already. I'm sure I'll have a link also in our Discord for that as well.
Dylan, does this game, because I see some games are using this now, so I don't know if you know this or not, because I didn't even know this game existed until just now. Does this game use your microphone, and if you actually like make a noise, it's over? Have you heard of games doing that now? Like, that's a new thing in games.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest.
This trailer, this looks cool.
Yeah. Dude, I just revisited A Quiet Place on Friday with my youngest son, Lucas, for our horror movie Fridays, because the new movie comes out in a couple weeks and we're going to go see it. That movie holds up, dude. I'm stoked for the new one. Stoked to go to Universal later this year and check out their A Quiet Place set they're going to have for Halloween Horror Nights. It's definitely a cool universe.
If you're a YouTube watcher, we got that up on the screen right now. This looks really, really cool. So there you go.
Even like the atmosphere, like it's creepily silent. Like everything, like throughout the whole trailer, like your character that you see on the screen here is like trying to do things very silently and trying to not make noise. And it's to the point where, just kind of like in the movies, it's just creepy.
Did you have the opportunity to see either one of these movies in theaters? Either one of you guys?
I watched the very first one in theaters.
Yeah, I took my oldest son, to the theaters for the first one, and we had this big old tub of popcorn, and then the movie started, and silence, everyone's doing that, like trying to quietly chew their popcorn because you could hear everyone around you.
The cool thing about, so when I went to see this, fun fact, it was my second date with a girl when I went to see this movie, but it was literally just me and her, and there's no one else in there. So like it was just like complete silence. So it was kind of an awkward date, to be honest. Needless to say, we didn't go on another date after that, so it was kind of weird.
Well, sweet baby Dylan.
Anyway, so our next piece of news is actually pretty cool. It is actually, so I don't know when this happened. I think it was like probably right after the House of the Dragon series had come out, or maybe the same day. But in New York City, where the Empire State Building was, there was the Team Green dragon that was wrapped around the Empire State Building, and it was not like it was a real, like, something they constructed and put on the building. It wasn't like something that was like AI or like CGI, like for video or anything like that. It was like a real, like, life-size, almost dragon-looking thing that completely wraps around the Empire State Building, which coincidentally, the Empire State Building is on the background of Robert's background, if you're watching on the YouTube, of his Ninja Turtles. And shameless plug, if you haven't already, go watch the latest episode of the Optic Blast broadcast.
Yes.
We talk all about the Ninja Turtles and the sewers of New York. But
Cowabunga.
We're talking above the sewers this week on the Nerdy Reads podcast about the Team Green dragon from House of the Dragon on the Empire State Building.
Yeah, dude. I really enjoy House of the Dragon. I watched the first episode of the new season. Anyone that listens to this show, please chime in the comments, hop in the Discord. If you're actually Team Green, seek help. Like, call your therapist, phone a friend. Just how can anyone, let me know, what's your reasoning? Why are you Team Green? I want to know. Let me know in the comments.
There you go.
What a cool publicity stunt.
It is.
It's random. Like, it's just an inflate. I thought it would like move for some reason, but no, it's just a big old balloon. There it is on the Empire State Building. What a time to be alive.
What a time. It's dope.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty sick. Whenever I saw it, I was like, man. I thought about doing that as the sighting of the week. I thought that'd have been kind of funny, but then I found the meteor thing. So
And then Robert ruined it.
Here we go. Oh,
that's okay. But that was my last piece of nerdy news this week. So,
all right, Robert, you know what time it is.
man, it's time for What's Hot. We here at the Nerdy Reads podcast can't read everything, but we bring you something popular around the book world. And Dylan could not have segued me better into this week's What's Hot. Game of Thrones is back, baby. House of Dragon season 2 just premiered. It's off to a solid start. So I'm going to use this space to highlight the book it's based off of, Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. Fire and Blood begins their tale with the legendary Aegon the Conqueror, creator of the Iron Throne, and then it recounts generations of future Targaryens who fought to hold the iconic seat. Readers note it does read like a history textbook, but season 1 on HBO was so good that I actually forgave the final season of Game of Thrones. And now Fire and Blood's on my personal TBR. I'm ready to jump in. This book's sitting on Goodreads right now, 4.02 out of 5 with over 106,000 ratings. It's tagged fantasy, fiction, and of course, dragons.
I mean, that's all you need, bro.
That's all I need in a book. You give me those 3 things, I'm in there. But there's more to come, guys, from the Nerdy Reads podcast. You can hop on over here next week, where we're going to release a micro episode from Stephen King's short story, You Like It Darker. That story is going to be something I probably should have had already pulled up. I don't know what it is. Neither does Justin, but we'll get it out there on our
Hold on, bro. Hold on a second. I'm pulling up my app. Hold on. On Slide in Road.
Join us for a micro episode next week where we're going to discuss the short story on Slide in Road. It'll be similar to our first micro episode, which I believe we covered the story Finn.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check us out. And for our full episode next week, we have a very special Nerdy Reads podcast where we are going to bring on author David Coomer, who wrote The Misery House, and he just dropped a new book, the sequel to The Misery House, The Silent Forest. We're looking forward to talking to David about these books. If you are interested, are tagged on Goodreads as, if my internet would cooperate, what a bad time to be bad. Thriller, horror, and fiction. So tune in. I'm excited to interview another author. Those are always fun episodes. I like to get into the head of these guys that put out these books, man. And I've been reading The Misery House. Really solid. Highly recommend you check it out. It's $1.99 on Kindle.
Well, the cool thing, too, is if you do check that out, you are checking out a local dude. A lot of our listeners, I know we have listeners from all over the place, which is really, really cool. We're grateful for that. But this guy is somebody who's local to our area. And so we're really, really excited to just support that and also hang out with him and get to know him and get to just, again, be kind of a part of a community of local authors in our area. Guys, this has been a really, really fun episode. We had a lot of things that we covered, that we talked about. Everything from aliens to a very, very cool short story in Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. Our boys over there tried Papa John's hamburger pizza, and Dylan had some other concoction over there. What was that, bro? Some like Dippin' Dot thing that you... What was that?
It was a bite. It was like it was a little bite-sized version of it with little burger sauce on the side.
Little burger sauce. All right, bro. We did learn that Dylan just likes burger sauce. He doesn't care what kind of burger sauce it is. It's just what he is. It's what he likes. All right. He likes what he likes. We also learned that he took his first date to see the Quiet Place movie, and then they never saw each other again. So
it was the popcorn chew, man.
We learned that he has we learned he has Skippity Ohio Riz. You know what I mean?
Hold on. Let's calm down. It was our second date. Okay, it was our second date. The first time we actually went and saw Infinity War, and she was a big Tom Holland fan, and I laughed in her face whenever Tom Holland dissolved. So it was a great time.
All right. Well, there you go. So, no wonder that you didn't have date number 2. Guys, we have a lot of things going on here at the Nerdy Reads podcast. As you heard, author interviews, micro episodes. We got a lot of stuff that we are starting to put out there. We have YouTube channels. We got all this stuff. There's a lot of things to keep up with. And if you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on our social medias. Robert, where's that at?
You can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, and YouTube at the Nerdy Reads Podcast. Guys, do us a favor. Share this episode with one of your friends. Tell someone about us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. And we also want to just take a moment to celebrate that this was our biggest week ever. So we keep on saying that, and that's because you guys do that. What Robert just said, you share the Nerdy Reads podcast with friends. That really does help us. I mean, like I said, we had our biggest week that we've ever had in audio and just blending in with the YouTube stuff. Also, it's just things are really going really well, and we're just grateful for you and appreciate you guys listening and taking time to spend some time with us. So before we close out, we already know the deal. We cannot do it, will not do it without some advice from Dylan. So Dylan, hit us with what you got this week. Hopefully it's not about Star Wars Acolyte. I really hope it's I could hear you wheezing through your teeth. That's what I'm
so happy.
Let's lock in.
All right,
Lock in, bro. Lock in. Do it.
Listen. As Justin kindly reminded us, we're blown up. All right, we're blown up. We're hitting the big time. Okay, and with that knowledge, we need to stay humble. Okay, so we need to be sure to be nice to the people on the way up, because we might meet them on the way back down. So, with that being said, stay humble, fellas.
That's some good advice, Dylan. You know, dude, I really hope this becomes the biggest episode we ever put out, specifically for hashtag Dylan's date.
All right, guys, here on Nerdy Reads Podcast, we enjoy a good story. We believe that your story matters. So be good to each other and stay nerdy. Our friends, say bye, Dylan.
Hey, shout out, Katarina. I hope you're listening to this. Bye-bye.